Divine Indifference. By Orthoris. Chapter 12. The Mad King. 10 long years had passed and there was still no sign of Star Swirl. Whatever happened to him was still open to speculation. Atlas had spent quite a lot of time studying the research papers Star Swirl had left behind, frantically looking for the mistake. But, try as he might, he couldn't find any. As far as Atlas was concerned, everything should have worked perfectly. The only irregularity in the calculations would have been Star Swirl himself. Maybe, just maybe, since Star Swirl's time was technically absent, the spell had gone haywire. What that truly meant, no one could know. Hopefully he was just simply sent too far into the future, or maybe even the past and had no way to return. The more bleak option would be that Star Swirl was now trapped inside an endless limbo of time, forever doomed to wait until someone rescued him. While this had been at the forefront of Atlas and Discord's mind for quite some time, they had learned to live with it. After having tried pretty much everything they could, all they were left with was to simply wait for some sort of sign from Star Swirl. Until then, they decided they would live their life normally. Well, as normal as their strange little family could, at least. Atlas sat on a chair on a balcony of outcropping rock outside their secret cave, which had received quite a few additions and upgrades. Aside from more room for experiments, a second floor had been added which served as the new living space. Due to the fact that this balcony was located above the treetops, it allowed for quite the view. He was sipping on some freshly brewed tea as he watched some birds playing with each other among the trees with the city of Vancouver's skyline visible in the distance. It really spoke to the efficiency of ponies, that in little more than a decade the town had exploded in size. Whether that was due to the fact it had a naturally deep seaport or that it was one of the merchants' main trade routes, there was a great influx of ponies that had settled there. Of course that meant that more and more ponies were pushing to settle the forest. It wasn't unusual to see some daring explorers walk past the cave now. Usually these explorers were kids, or even young ponies in love, looking for a retreat. Every now and then, Atlas had noticed unicorns acting suspiciously around the area where his wards were placed. It might have been that they just noticed that there were active spells placed around the area, and for some that might have been the actual reason, but there were some who seemed really interested in the area of the mountain where Atlas's cave was located. He could have sworn that one purple unicorn stared directly into his eyes at one point before leaving. Well, since Star Swirl was gone, Atlas had to be the one that went into town to get supplies most of the time, sometimes even accompanied by Discord. As word would most likely travel fast when a weird being such as a Draken Equus was seen in a city, he had no doubt that some pony with connections that was looking for them would hear about it. As such, Atlas believed those unicorns to be spies from the Crystal Kingdom, sent to look for him. They no doubt still held a grudge against him after what he'd done all those years ago, and they seemed to be getting a little too close for comfort. Still, Atlas trusted in the spells he had placed together with Star Swirl and didn't pay them too much mind. Just to make sure, he had upgraded each and every single ward around his base, and even added a few new ones. "I cut us some apples," Discord said, his serpentine body slithering out of the opening in the mountain. "Thanks," Atlas chuckled and levitated a piece off the plate Discord had brought with him while he sat down on his own special chair. Discord had reached his full size by this point, practically towering over Atlas if he stood up straight. It was a weird thing, seeing the Draken Equus that he'd raised from a baby becoming an adult. By now, he looked completely like the Discord that Atlas had seen in the show, minus the crazy mindset. It wasn't just his body that had changed in recent years, their relationship had also changed significantly. Discord was an adult now, so Atlas pretty much gave him the freedom to do whatever he wished, even move out, if that was what he wanted. To his great relief, Discord had decided to stay with Atlas, and while they still had a father-son relationship, they practically lived like roommates. "I've been thinking," Discord started, staring at the tea in his claw. "You've been sitting out here a lot recently." "I do quite enjoy this addition to the cave, yes," Atlas said, unsure of where Discord was going with this. I can tell, you know. Discord continued. I've been with you for all of my life, and it's glaringly obvious that something's bothering you. Oh. Atlas hummed curiously. You sit out here for hours sometimes, just staring out into the distance. You're letting your research lag behind, Discord said. That's just not like you. Well, maybe I just thought I needed a little break, Atlas defended himself. I did pretty much continue to work for years. Which would be understandable, Discord nodded, still not looking at Atlas. But, I know that's not it. I can feel it. So let's just assume something was bothering me. What would you have me do? Atlas ventured. Couldn't we, just, talk about it? Discord asked, finally looking up from his beverage, meeting Atlas's eyes for the first time since coming outside. Atlas stared up into the eyes of his son, and what he saw was genuine concern, and just a hint of sadness. It would appear that his behavior had made his son worry, and Atlas felt a twang of guilt at having troubled his own son to this extent. He could feel his own indecision pulling him in different directions, but what actually troubled Atlas was something he couldn't really openly discuss with anybody. Especially Discord. While I would really like to. I just can't, Atlas said, tearing his eyes away from Discord's, looking back over at the city in the distance. He just couldn't bear looking him in the eyes while denying him the emotional security that would come with just letting him know. Discord nodded sadly and looked back down at his cup, slowly letting it rotate in the air, contemplating his next words carefully. Does it have to do with the future? Discord blurted out. Is it because of something that's going to happen to me? Atlas felt his stomach drop, feeling like the kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He slowly turned his head to look back at Discord, who was still fixated on his cup. What? Atlas cleared his throat. What gave you that idea? Atlas asked nervously. I'm a curious individual, Discord chuckled. When someone's trying to hide something from me, you know that I'll try everything to sneak a peek at it, right? Yes. Atlas said, dreading what would come next. It took me forever, but I managed to snag your blue book from where you squirreled it away, Discord said apologetically, making Atlas feel like his heart was about to stop beating. I've read it, Discord chuckled. The whole thing, from beginning to end. Oh, Atlas said, feeling for once like he was at a loss for words. While Atlas trusted Discord with his life, the blue book that contained everything Atlas knew about this world and its future was the one thing he never wanted Discord to really know about. So, you've probably read all about yourself, then? Atlas asked tentatively. Yes. Atlas' shoulders sagged in defeat and he let out a huge sigh. I never wanted you to know about this, and I'm sure now you know why. It's not one of my proudest moments, Discord replied. But, my curiosity got the better of me. Ever since I read the first few pages as a kid, I wondered what else might be in there. I don't want what's written in that book to come true, you know? I would never wish a fate like that upon my own son, Atlas said, trying to explain himself, if just a little bit. Neither do I. 1,000 years trapped in stone, feared and hated by every pony doesn't sound like my idea of fun, Discord chuckled. But it seems pretty obvious that the alicorns Celestia and Luna are necessary for a truly united and harmonious Equestria. I believe they are, yes, Atlas said. That's why I've been waiting, watching, and listening for any sign of the two. I don't know how much time is supposed to pass before they appear, but as far as I know, they should have already popped up by now. I know that they knew Star Swirl, so they should have to exist around this time, but his disappearance has complicated everything. I can't help but wonder if the future isn't as set in stone as I thought it would be. Discord smiled, happy that his father was finally opening up a bit about what bothered him all this time. But he knew that wasn't the whole extent of the issue. I remember a lot of things that you've told me about your old world, father, Discord started. But one thing that always stuck with me is the concept of yin and yang. Light within darkness and darkness within light, both in perfect balance forever, neither can exist without the other and both can be found within its counterpart, Atlas nodded. What about it? Light can't exist without darkness, Discord said tentatively. Harmony can't exist without discord. Atlas wanted to say something, anything to deviate Discord from this idea, but the words stuck in his throat, not wanting to come out. The truth was, that Atlas thought the same. What if these two Alicorn sisters never appear if I'm not there for them to defeat? Discord said, gripping his cup tightly, almost threatening to break it. What if Equestria never gets truly unified, because I'm just a normal being, spending his days happily inside a cave with his father? I'm sure it will work out in the end, Atlas said worriedly. Equestria is on the right track, you can easily see how far they've already come. Atlas pointed his hooves towards Vancouver in the distance, the perfect example of the prospering country. Sure, everything looks good on the surface, but what about the Crystal Kingdom? Discord rebutted a bit more forceful than he wanted. You know full well that they've been spying around here recently. That can only mean that they are about to make their move, either on us, or Equestria as a whole. So what? If they come for us we'll just defend ourselves, we can take them, Atlas waved them off, getting slightly heated himself. Are you sure about that? Discord replied challengingly. I know you are very capable, and I can also wreak quite a bit of havoc, but they've had 10 years and quite a bit more heads to put together to come up with new and improved spells. And what about the rest of Equestria, don't you care about them? They'll just have to fend for themselves, Atlas said, cold sweat running down his back. We just need to worry about ourselves. I know that's not how you truly feel, Discord interrupted, shaking his head. You always want what's best for every pony. That might be true, but that doesn't mean you just have to go off on a rampage. Atlas said, almost shouting now, afraid. You can just stay with me, and we'll be happy together. There's another proverb you told me when I was small, Discord chuckled once more, finally meeting Atlas's infuriated eyes again. The needs of the many outweighs the needs of the few. Atlas wanted to rebuke, wanted to tell Discord off, but having his own lessons thrown back at him left him stunned. He was doing his best impression of a fish, giving Discord enough time to wind up for the final blow. All true heroes are defined by the sacrifices they make, Discord said. And I think this sacrifice is ours to make, even if no pony will ever know what we did for them. There's still a chance that they'll just show up someday, without us having to do anything, Atlas tried weakly. Can't we just wait a little longer? You said it yourself before. They should most likely already be here, Discord said. Besides, he sighed. I've already made my decision anyway. Silence fell over the two as Atlas fell back into his chair, defeated and feeling weak. All this time he had worked to try and prevent Discord from experiencing the hell that fate had in store for him, and now, everything was crumbling and falling down around him. He didn't want to let Discord go through with it, it was the last thing he'd wish for him. But deep down, inside, he knew that Discord was right. After all, this dilemma was what had been bothering Atlas for years now. There was no way to know if Celestia and Luna would just appear on their own, but there was also the underlying fear of Discord turning rogue by himself due to some unforeseen circumstances. He knew that the two sisters were necessary for a truly united and peaceful Equestria, but didn't want to admit that Discord was as well. Every pony will hate you, you know. Atlas said weakly. They'll fear you, even after you've spent 1,000 years trapped inside a stone prison, they will remember. I know, Discord said. You'll be alone, with no one to turn to. As long as I know at least you know the truth, I'll be okay. 1,000 years is a long time, you know. I know you'll be waiting for me at the end. Atlas could feel himself tearing up, and he knew without even looking over, that Discord was as well. They watched as the horizon slowly turned orange, as the sun was going down, announcing that the day was about to end. The villain, Atlas said. It will be the hardest role you've ever played. Discord chuckled through his tears. I plan to play the role spectacularly. And I know you will, Atlas said, a small smile appearing on his face. You always do. Discord stood up from his chair, prompting Atlas to do the same. They shared a look of deep understanding with each other, before Discord kneeled down to give Atlas a hug, which was gladly returned. They stayed like this for a little while, cherishing each other's presence and giving each other some amount of comfort before separating. You know you don't have to start today, right? Atlas said hopefully. We could still spend a bit more time together. Discord shook his head. I don't know if I could bring myself to do it if I didn't go right now. Atlas nodded sadly, not surprised at the answer. Well, break a leg. Take care of yourself, Discord said, stepping towards the edge of the balcony and looking back one more time. And don't forget to eat regularly. Atlas nodded, showing Discord one more smile before he jumped off the balcony, flying towards Vancouver just like a Chinese dragon would. Atlas watched him disappear into the distance, suddenly feeling empty inside. It wasn't long before the first strange changes were made to the buildings of Vancouver. Chaos erupted in the city and Atlas could just barely hear the faint screams of panicked ponies in the distance. Atlas had just unleashed a great evil upon Equestria, dooming them to who knows how many years of suffering under a crazy tyrant's rule. He just hoped that in the end everything worked out and what he just allowed to happen wasn't for nothing. For a long time Atlas stood there on the balcony, watching and listening to the madness that had become Vancouver. Discord was pulling out all the tricks in the book apparently, doing a mighty fine job of playing the villain. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the chaos unfolding in front of him, watching closely, even through the tears that continued to fall from him. Discord had accepted his role as the villain, and as his father, Atlas could do little more than wholly support his son in his decision. There was no doubt in Atlas's mind that the road going forward would be rocky and painful for both of them. And for the first time since being thrown into this world, Alex felt truly alone. Author's note. Everybody been speculating how Discord gun turned mad, guess what? You were wrong. Kicking off the Two Sisters arc. The ever-present time skips will be present throughout this as well. We got years to cover and only so much time, bear with me here please, tongue sticking out. Once again, thanks to my editors Azriel and Alcatraz, as well as my proofreaders Kilobytes and Soren Mercer. Today's chapter was brought to you by this. Come join us in the Discord channel. Lonk. Or the official Divine Entertainment Group. Divine Universe. End author's note.